Welcome back, everyone. This is Algebra 2, and we are going to do some reviewing of polynomials before factoring, and we're also going to learn one little tiny new thing. Hey, let's just start with the new stuff now, and then we can go on to the review stuff right after that. So first, let me shrink my head. There we go, that's better. Now you can see everything. Alright, so here we go. Take out those notes. This should be somewhere around page 217 if you're playing along. And here it is. This is called factored form. Whenever you hear the words factored form, that means that there are two sets of parentheses at least, and they are touching each other, so they're multiplied. Right now, all you need to do is pretend that you are on Wheel of Fortune. You know Wheel of Fortune, right? So Wheel of Fortune, they have all the little boxes, right? Except this is not normal Wheel of Fortune. This is nerdy math Wheel of Fortune. So we have two boxes, they're multiplied together, and it equals blank. Now, we don't have Vanna White. We have some sort of person who is not nearly as good as her, and she accidentally, as she's going across, accidentally bumps into that one, and you see that the answer was 0. So your goal is to try to figure out what one of these boxes would have to be in order for an equation to be 0 if you're multiplying two numbers together. Well, any number times 0 equals 0, right? So you would know that either that number is 0 or that number is 0 for sure. One of those two things has to be 0. Well, it's the same thing here. You have two different things that are multiplied together. You have the x minus 4, and then you have the x plus 2. They're multiplied together. And so, if it equals 0, I know that one of these two things at least has to equal 0. Either the x minus 4 is 0, or the x plus 2 is 0. Alright, so we write them like that, and then all we have to do is solve each equation. So for this one, this is super easy. You got this way back on the first day of Algebra 1. So you bring down the x, the 4's cancel, and we get 4. Over here, I subtract 2 from both sides, and I got x equals negative 2. And believe it or not, those are your answers. Now you're wondering, Mr. Robson, how do I know that that makes any sense? Well, here we go. Let's substitute this in back up here and see what happens. So I have blank minus 4, and I have blank plus 2. Alright, I'm going to write this twice because I'm going to do two different problems here. Just like that. And again, we're just kind of checking the answer to make sure that you understand that this really does work. So here, if I put a 4 in for both of the x's, I put a 4 there and there. So 4 minus 4 is 0. These two are touching, so I'm going to put a times sign there. 4 plus 2 is 6. So 0 times 6, what does that equal? Well, that equals 0. So that one works. Then if I put in a negative 2, instead of x, put a negative 2 here and here for both of these x's, just like I did in the previous one. This would give me negative 6. It's touching, so I put multiply. This gives me 0. Negative 6 times 0, yes, that indeed is 0. So I know that that works too. Both of these answers are correct. Super easy, right? Okay, let's do another one. So this one, here's one box, here's another box. So I'm just going to set each one of these things equal to 0. This really is as easy as you think it is. Hopefully you think it's easy. Alright, so here I'm going to add 5 to both sides. I get 2x equals 5, and then divide by 2. Now a lot of people are in love with decimals, but I'm telling you, it's even easier. You don't even have to bust out a calculator. You could just look at this right now. The 2's cancel, so I'm just left with x equals 5 over 2. So I could just write 5 over 2, and that's great. That's your answer. You don't have to divide, you don't have to do anything else. So here, the same deal, we're subtracting 2. Those 2's cancel. I've got 3x equals negative 2. I divide by 3, and hopefully you've got all this part down because this is all first semester algebra. The 3's cancel because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And again, I'm not going to do a decimal, I'm just going to copy this down. Negative 2 over 3. So, can we have answers that are fractions? Oh yeah, we can. Expect it to happen quite frequently, actually. So, those two are the answers. Alright, let's see if you can do one on your own. So go ahead, hit pause, try this, and then come back. All right, it looks like all of you have done this. So here we go. We had 8x minus 2. We set that equal to 0. We had 5x plus 7. We set that equal to 0. And we solved. I'm going to solve this rather quickly, at least as quickly as I can to make this almost look legible. All right, now this time, 2 over 8. I can reduce this. Hopefully by now you've gotten yourself a calculator. 2 fraction 8 is the same as 1 over 4. If you're not sure how to do that because you don't have a calculator, both of these are divisible by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, back we go. Those cancel. I'm left with 5x equals negative 7. I can divide both of these by 5. And again, 7 over 5 does not reduce, so I can just copy it like the others. So there's one answer, there's two answers. You'll always have at least as many answers, or exactly as many answers as you have factors. Here we've had 2 factors each time, so that's why we've had 2 answers each time. Now, if you have something that's squared, the squared means it's multiplied how many times? Hopefully you said 2. Alright, so I could rewrite this like this if I wanted to. Just like that. Now I could solve each of these by setting them equal to 0. Now some of you should hopefully be thinking, wait a minute, that's the exact same equation. You're right, so I'm not going to bother doing it 2 times, I'm just going to do it once. So add 9 and divide by 2. This gives me x equals 9 over 2, or for those of you who just love those decimals, it is 4.5. And then that is going to be the exact same answer here. I'll write it twice just for fun. Really, it's the same answer. Now, when we get into graphing, this will mean something special when you get the same answer twice. But for now, just know, hey, we got the same answer twice. Sometimes there might be something crazy like this, and that 3x, it's not in parentheses technically, but my advice is go ahead, put it in parentheses. Now, this little 3x is still set equal to 0. It's like 3x plus 0. It's the same thing. So we set the 3x equal to 0. We set the 2x minus 7 equal to 0. And then let's solve each of these. So I'm going to divide by 3. I get x equals 0. Over here, let's add 7 to both sides. I get 2x 7. Then, hey, let's divide by 2. So I get 7 over 2. So my two answers are 0 and 7 over 2. And that's it. So when there's something on the outside like that, don't forget to set that equal to 0 as well. Very important. All right, do you think you got this one? I bet you do. Go ahead and hit pause, try this, and then come back. I'm watching. Okay, it looks like you got it. So here we go. Let's set the 6x equal to 0. We can think of this again as being in parentheses by itself. The 3x plus 8 equals 0, and then solve each of these. So you know to divide those by 6. We got 0. Here we're going to subtract 8. And again, this is fast because you already learned this in Algebra 1. If you didn't learn this, you wouldn't be in second semester algebra. Alright, there are your two answers. Okay, let's hit that polynomial review now. Those are all the new things that you're going to learn. So basically with all these, I'm just going to ask you to hit pause, try it on your own, and then let's do it. Here we go. Alright, name that polynomial. Remember, polynomials have a first name and a last name. Go ahead. You might want to look back to your notes for this, but go ahead and write down the names, the two names for each of these. Go. Alright, it looks like you got this. So here, first, we have to do some combining of like terms because 5x to the first power and minus 7x to the first power can combine. So this is negative 3x squared. Then this becomes minus 2x because 5 minus 7 is negative 2. And then we're left with plus 2 here. How many terms does it have? Well, it has 1, 2, 3 terms. 3, think of triangle. So trinomial is its last name. Now for the first name, we always look for the biggest exponent. Since we have to put it in standard form anyways, we're going to look at the very first exponent, which is 2. Remember, 2 means the word quadratic. So this is called a quadratic trinomial. Over here, it's already in standard form. There are no like terms to combine, so we just leave it like that. There are 1, 2 terms, so that I know, like binoculars or bicycle, this is going to be a binomial. That's its last name. First name is going to go with this. 5 just means it's going to be the 5th degree. So this is a 5th degree binomial. Okay, next, we're going to add these polynomials. Go ahead, hit pause, give it a shot. Come on back. All right, it looks like you got this. There is an x squared and another x squared. I'm going to put those together. Remember, before, we also like to write them on top of each other like this. So if you want to do it that way, that makes total sense. Just make sure that your same exponents are on top of each other. They can never be different exponents on top of each other. They got to be the same ones. So we've got -4 plus 9 is 5. And -7 minus 5, my calculator says -12. And 3 minus 8 is -5. And that's all we got there. That was it. All right, now we've got subtraction. Remember, with subtraction, we're going to change this to a plus and change all the signs there. Do it the same way as we did the other one after that. Go ahead, hit pause, try it, and come back. All right, it looks like you've got this. So I'm changing this to a plus. I'm changing all the signs, changing those to pluses and that one to negative. I could also put them on top of each other like this, and that will work the same way. Again, the same exponents are on top of each other. This gives me -13x squared minus 2x plus 11. All right, I've got one more I'm going to try to trick you with. You go ahead, try this one. Really try this one. Hit pause, come back. All right, I'm hoping you got this. So again, I'm going to change that to a plus. Change all of these signs just like that. Now, when I try to write these on top of each other, did you put the -9x cubed right here? Hopefully you did not. Hopefully you said to yourself, well, a cube and a squared cannot go together. So, whoops, let's try that one more time. Oh, that totally didn't work. I failed. Let's try one more time. There we go. Okay, so cubed cannot go with squared. Therefore, I cannot write the cubed right under the square, so I've got to put it way over here. There is nothing squared, so I'm going to leave a blank there. Over here, I have plus 2x and then plus 3, just like that. So all I can do is copy 9x cubed minus 5x squared. And now these two combined give you -4x, and these two combined give you +7. And then that's all there is to that one. Alright, so my trick there was make sure your exponents are the same, otherwise you cannot combine them. So if you had -14x cubed or squared here instead of all this mess, that's what you did wrong. Alright, next, multiplying binomials. Hopefully you remember how to do that. Go ahead, hit pause, and come back. Alright, you are back. You have worked this out. You have this and this. It's a Punnett square. 3 by 2 gives you 6. 3 times -5 is -15. 4 times 2 is 8. And 4 times -5 is -20. Going back to my x's, remember if there is no exponent, we always put a 1. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. Remember, we're adding the exponents. 1 and nothing gives me 1. Nothing and 1 gives me 1. And nothing and nothing gives me nothing. Remember that we can combine like terms. There and there, they are both just x's, right? So we're going to write down what they are. 6x squared. Combine my two pink ones. That gives me -7x. And then -20. And that's all for that. Alright, let's move on to the next one. This one makes a special type. You go ahead, hit pause, try it, and then come back. Alright, it looks like you are back. 5x minus 3 here, 5x plus 3. And let's pretend that you put 5x minus 3 there and 5x plus 3 there. It doesn't matter what order you do it in, as long as you're doing both of them, that's fine. All right, 5 times 5, that gives me 25. 5 times 3 is positive 15. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. 3 times negative 3, negative 9. Put 1s with the x's, and just like before, I have an x squared, an x, and just a number. Next, I'm going to combine like terms, and again, just like last time, this one right here, this one right there, they're going to totally cancel out because 15 minus 15 is 0. So I copy down what I have, 25x squared. That again is 0x, so I can leave it off, or I could write 0x if I wanted to, and then minus 9. That's all there is to that one. Next, I'm going to do one that's a perfect square. Do you remember what to do if it's a perfect square? Right, you said write it 2 times. Exactly. So we're going to write it once there and once there. All right, you go ahead and multiply those out and then come back. All right, looks like you've got it. So 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. 6 times negative 5, again negative 30. And negative 5 times negative 5, positive 25. Here I'm going to put 1s for my exponents. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. 1 plus nothing is 1. 1 plus nothing is still 1. And you've got no x's there at all. So let's combine like terms. Bloop, bloop. We've got our x's that go together. So in the beginning, I've got 36x squared, negative 30x minus 30x. That gives me negative 60x. And then plus 25 left over. And that's all there is for that one. How are you feeling so far? Good? Great. All right, so now this time, everybody's going to do the exact same thing just because of the way that I drew the box. I have this box going horizontally. You can figure it out. Go ahead, hit pause, try this, and then come back. All right, my hope is that you put 1x there, minus 3, 1x squared plus 4x and minus 5, just like this. Now on the inside, I'm going to multiply the numbers first. That's 1, positive 4, and negative 5. They're all the same because this was a 1. Now I'm going to multiply all those numbers by negative 3. So this is negative 3. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. Now let's talk about our x's. If there's no exponent, remember always put a 1. And then we're going to add those exponents. So we've got 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus nothing is 1. Here I have nothing plus 2. Nothing plus 1 for the exponent. And nothing plus nothing. Now we should be able to do some combining. That's an x squared and that's an x squared. We can put those together. And then also there is just a plain x, and that is also a plain x to the first power. All right, we're ready to combine everything that we can. So we're starting off with this 1x cubed. You can put a 1 in front if you want. It doesn't matter to me. 4 minus 3 gives me 1. You, again, can put a 1 there. It doesn't matter. We keep the exponent the same because we're only adding. Remember, if you multiply two numbers, two bases, that's when the exponents add. If you're adding, the exponents stay the same. Exponents are always a little slow. They're a little behind everybody else. Negative 12 and negative 5, that gives me negative 17. And then here we have 15. And that's it for that one. All right, so let's move on to dividing. Let's see if you remember how to do this. Go ahead, hit pause, try it, and then come back. All right, good to see you back. Now we're going to basically just rewrite this again here. And remember, if there's no exponent, we're going to put a 1. And then we're going to rewrite it here as well. And we're just going to pretend that these are totally separate fractions. So we're going to think of it like that and that. All right, super easy, right? So first step is going to be go ahead and divide the big numbers just like you know how. So I've got 20 divided by 4, 16 divided by 4, and there was a minus there, so I'll put a minus, and 36 divided by 4. There was a minus there, so I'll copy that. So I've got 5, negative 4, and negative 9. Next, I have to subtract the exponents. So if the bases are divided, subtract the exponents. Always put it on the side with the bigger number. So in this case, let me draw fractions for all of these. So in this first case, your a is bigger on top, and 7 minus 5 is 2. So I've got a to the 2. Here, 9 is bigger than 6, so it's going to go on the bottom. 9 minus 6 is 3. Here, my c is bigger on top, so I'm going to do that. 5 minus 1 is 4. Over here, big A on top, so that's going to be 8 minus 5. B is missing the exponent, so I'm going to put a 1. 9 minus 1 is 8, and the bigger one was on bottom. Here, 6 minus 1 is 5. On for the next one. I'm going to subtract the exponents here. 5 minus 5 is 0, so really what's happening there is those guys cancel. Then over here I've got 9 minus 9. That also just cancels. So now I have 4 minus 1, that is 3, and the big one's on top. If you want to, you can put a 1 down there. And that's the end of it. That's all we have for that. Alright, one final problem. Let's see if you can do this one on your own. Go! Alright, hopefully you have done this. You separate these into 2, 3 separate fractions, like that. Alright, now you're ready to divide the big numbers. So, 32 divided by 16 is 2. 8 divided by 16. Uh-oh, if you said 2, you are mistaken. If the top number is smaller, remember this will always be a fraction. So this is really 1 over 2. Over here we've got 48 divided by 16. That's going to give me 3. And I'm going to put fraction bars on all these. Put my minus signs. Alright, I'm good. Next we're going to subtract the exponents. 5 minus 3 is 2. The big one was on the bottom. Here I've got 7 minus 2 is 5. The big one was on the top. Whoops, I almost misspelled B. That's embarrassing. And here I've got 8 minus 2 is 6, and the big one was on bottom. This time 9 minus 5 is 4, big top. 8 minus 2 is 6, big top. 8 minus 1 is 7, big bottom. Don't forget to put that 1 there. Usually when people forget to put the 1, they will just subtract 0 from it and screw that up. Over here, 5 minus 4 is 1. You've got a big A on the bottom, so your answer goes on the bottom. 6 minus 2 is 4. 8 minus 4 is 4, and that one was on the bottom. Alright, that's all there was to it. Oh my goodness, I hope you are doing well and that you understood this lesson well. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Find me in those office hours. Go ahead, look on Canvas. Otherwise, just make sure you're taking these notes, taking a picture of them, submitting them with your homework. And hey, speaking of homework, let's start that homework now. Alright, have a great week, everybody. Cue the music. Who's in charge of music? Somebody needs to play the music.